Luna descended deeper into the subterranean city, feeling a twinge of unease as the elevator plummeted through layers of reinforced steel, rock, and permafrost. This was no ordinary facility. The walls around her were lined with biometric sensors and security nodes, each more advanced than the last. The air grew colder, crisper, until the elevator finally came to a stop with a muted chime, the doors sliding open to reveal a sight that took her breath away. The Nexus, a hidden metropolis buried beneath the Arctic ice, a city of glass and neon sprawled across a vast underground cavern. It pulsed with an eerie, vibrant energy. Transparent structures twisted upward in impossible spirals. Bioengineered gardens glowed softly in the artificial twilight. And above it all, massive digital displays scrolled through streams of genetic data and three-dimensional models of DNA strands, constantly shifting and recombining. "Welcome to the future," came a voice beside her. Luna turned sharply, her gaze fallen on a tall, lean figure with eyes that glowed faintly blue, Dr. Alexei Voss, the mastermind behind the Nexus. He moved with the grace of a predator, his silhouette sharp against the glow of the city. There was something unsettling about him, something that felt not quite human. "What is this place?" Luna murmured, scanning the bustling city below. People moved about in perfect synchrony, their faces lit with an energy and focus that seemed almost unnatural. She caught sight of a group of children running at blinding speeds, leaving trails of phosphorescent light in their wake. Others stood in clusters, their skin bioluminescent, patterns shifting in response to their conversations. "This isn't just a research facility," Voss replied softly. "It's a prototype, a vision of what humanity could become, an enclave of the brightest minds in genetics, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence. We're free from the constraints of conventional ethics and politics here, operative. We're rewriting the code of life." He gestured to the city where people with mechanical augmentations, seamlessly integrated into their bodies, conversed with others whose muscles rippled with impossible density and precision. "Everyone here has been modified. Every child born in the Nexus carries enhancements, faster reflexes, superior cognitive abilities, increased longevity. Even the concept of disease is obsolete here." Luna's eyes narrowed. This was no mere research station. It was an entire society re-engineered from the genome up, a place where the boundaries of human potential had been pushed to the breaking point. And it all came down to a single transformative technology. "CRISPR," she said softly. "This is all CRISPR, isn't it?" "Yes," Voss murmured, a note of reverence in his voice. "Clustered regularly, interspace short palindromic repeats, the most powerful genetic tool humanity has ever discovered. With CRISPR and its associated protein, Cas9, we can target any gene in the human genome and modify it with pinpoint accuracy. Traditional medicine treats symptoms. CRISPR treats the root cause, altering the genetic code itself. CRISPR was discovered less than 2 decades ago, but it had already revolutionized biology. At its core, it was a bacterial defense mechanism, a way for bacteria to cut apart the DNA of invading viruses. But in human hands, it had become something much more. Scientists had harnessed its precision to edit human cells, remove defective genes, and even insert entirely new sequences. It could eliminate hereditary diseases like cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia. But here, in the Nexus, they had gone far beyond that. "You're not just curing diseases," Luna said, her voice low. "You're enhancing." Voss smiled, an expression that sent a chill down her spine. "Why stop at normal when we can aim for extraordinary? Imagine a world where humanity is no longer bound by its genetic shackles, where aging is reversed, intelligence expanded, and the human form itself reshaped to meet any challenge. That's what we're building here." They walked deeper into the complex, passing by rows of labs filled with equipment Luna couldn't begin to identify. Holographic displays showed models of genes and protein structures, but these weren't just theoretical diagrams. They were blueprints for entirely new forms of life. You've heard of gene drives? Voss asked, stopping in front of a massive containment chamber filled with swirling, luminous liquid. They were designed to push genetic traits through wild populations to eliminate pests or control invasive species. But what if you used a gene drive on humanity, released one modified individual into the global population, and watched as their enhancements spread across generations? Luna stared at him, horrified. A gene drive worked by ensuring that a particular trait was passed on to nearly 100% of an individual's offspring instead of the usual 50%. It was genetic engineering at a population-wide scale. Once unleashed, it was almost impossible to stop. "You're talking about rewriting the entire human race," she whispered. Voss shrugged, his gaze distant. "It's already happening, Operative. CRISPR is being used in underground labs across the world. Do you know how many CRISPR babies were born last year alone? Over 100, in secret clinics, in places without regulations. People are editing their children's genomes to give them a better future, stronger bones, heightened IQ, resistance to diseases, and that's just the beginning." He turned to face her, his eyes glowing faintly. "But all of that is crude, amateurish. We're doing something far more sophisticated here." He pressed a button on a console, and the liquid in the chamber began to clear, revealing a figure suspended within, a creature that looked almost human, but not quite. Its skin was pearlescent, its musculature refined and exaggerated, and beneath its translucent surface, veins pulsed with a silvery bioluminescent fluid. "Meet the first true Homo superior," Voss said quietly. "A prototype human re-engineered from the cellular level. We've eliminated the genes associated with aging, enhanced its neuroplasticity, and introduced a suite of traits that allow it to adapt to almost any environment. Increased bone density, heightened sensory perception, and a completely restructured metabolic system." Luna felt a chill run through her. "You're designing a new species." "Not a new species," Voss corrected. "An upgraded version of the existing one. This is what CRISPR makes possible. Humanity, rewritten. We've increased its lifespan by a factor of 4, enhanced its cognitive abilities, and integrated synthetic genes for traits that don't even exist in nature." He tapped another key, and a holographic display of the creature's genetic structure appeared. It was a tangle of colored threads, each one representing a different trait or enhancement. The structure was breathtakingly complex, far more intricate than anything Luna had ever seen. "It's not just CRISPR," Voss murmured. "We're using something called prime editing. It's a new technique, more precise, more versatile. Instead of simply cutting and pasting DNA, we can search and replace entire genetic sequences, alter thousands of base pairs at once, even rewrite RNA itself. It's like having a molecular word processor for the genome." Luna's mind reeled. Prime editing was still considered experimental in most labs, too risky, too unpredictable. But here, they were using it to create entirely new life forms. "This is insane," she whispered. "You're playing God." Voss's gaze sharpened. "God is a concept for the ignorant. We're scientists. We work with facts, data, and probabilities. And right now, the probability of humanity surviving the next few centuries without drastic intervention is close to 0. He gestured to the creature in the pod. "Climate change, resource depletion, pandemics. Do you know how many genes determine resistance to viral infections, or how many dictate metabolic efficiency? We can optimize for survival. We can make humans that thrive on minimal resources, that heal faster, that don't age. This is evolution, directed by intelligence." "Or genocide," Luna shot back. "What happens to the ones who aren't enhanced?" "Adapt or die," Voss said coldly. "That's always been nature's way." The words hung between them like a curse. This wasn't just about creating a superior version of humanity. It was about creating a future where only the superior survived. But before Luna could respond, the creature inside the containment pod shuddered violently. Red lights flared, and the holographic display filled with warnings: genetic instability, critical mutation cascade, epigenetic collapse. "What's happening?" Luna demanded. Voss's face went white. "Its genome, it's rejecting the enhancements. There's a cascade failure in the prime edits. The sequence is unraveling. The creature spasmed, its form warping and twisting, muscles bulging and contracting. Its eyes snapped open, glowing with a fierce, unnatural light. It's sentient, Luna breathed, horror flooding her. It's aware. And in that instant, she knew. They hadn't just created a new human. They'd created something far more dangerous, something that might never stop evolving. The containment pod's security alarms blared as the creature thrashed inside, its distorted form pressing against the reinforced glass. Luna's heart pounded as she watched its shape shift and twist, each surge of muscle and sinew a testament to the terrifying potential of uncontrolled genetic manipulation. Its skin shimmered, darkening into scales, then smoothing into human-like flesh. It wasn't just changing, it was learning, adapting its biology in real time. "Luna, the neural stabilization is slipping," Voss shouted, his fingers flying over the console. "If we lose the prime sequence, it'll break free." "No," she shot back, slamming the emergency override. The creature's thrashing intensified, the data on her HUD flashing red with warnings. Its genetic code was a swirling maelstrom of edits, hundreds of CRISPR injections mutating and remutating at speeds no human should have survived. And yet, it did. Somehow, amidst the chaos, it had found a way to live. "Hold it steady," she ordered, isolating the prime sequence. Her fingers blurred as she rerouted the power. The creature's form flickered, skin shifting between scales, fur, and smooth tissue as it tried to break the genetic lockdown she'd initiated. It smashed its body against the glass, teeth bared in a soundless roar. And then, in a sudden, horrible moment of clarity, she understood. "It's a safeguard," she whispered, eyes widening as the data scrolled before her. The creature's entire genetic structure was woven with fail-safes, biological locks meant to keep it contained. But each time the prime sequence destabilized, the creature's mutations grew more aggressive, more extreme. Voss froze, staring at her. "What are you talking about?" "This thing," she said slowly, "it was designed to become a failsafe itself. If it escapes, if we lose control, it'll adapt to whatever threat it faces. The more we try to contain it, the stronger it becomes." Voss's face went ashen. "So if we keep fighting it, we're feeding it," she finished grimly. "This isn't a security breach, it's a trap." For a moment, neither of them moved. The creature's gaze locked on hers, and she swore she saw something flicker in its eyes. Awareness, understanding. It was waiting, daring her to make the wrong move. "Can we reestablish the prime lock?" she asked quietly, never looking away from the creature. Voss swallowed, his hands trembling as he tapped into the genome's encryption layer. "If I reinitiate the original code, yes, but it'll only be temporary. If we keep pushing..." "We won't," she said firmly. "Just do it." With a shuddering breath, Voss triggered the lock. The containment field blazed to life, flooding the pod with stabilizing energy. The creature spasmed, its body contorting, shifting through a dozen different forms before finally collapsing, its shape solidifying into something grotesque but still contained. The red alerts on Luna's HUD blinked to green. Stabilization successful. "It's holding," Voss breathed, relief flooding his face. "For now," Luna murmured, staring at the now quiet figure inside the pod. The creature's eyes were closed, its breathing slow and even, but she knew it was still there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting. They'd stopped the immediate threat, but the implications were chilling. If this was what Voss's team had created, what else was out there? How many more twisted experiments had been set in motion? "This isn't over," she said softly, turning to face Voss. "You need to shut it down, all of it. Every experiment, every prototype. If even one of these things gets out..." "I know," he interrupted, his voice hollow. "We'll seal the entire project, bury it. I swear." But as she looked at him, at the fear and determination warring in his eyes, she wondered if it was even possible to stop it. Because once the door to human augmentation was open, once the boundaries of biology were crossed, there was no going back. Luna glanced one last time at the creature, its form still, its potential terrifying. "It's not just about shutting down the project," she said quietly. It's about making sure no one ever tries this again. Voss nodded silently. They had bought themselves time, but Luna knew better than to believe this was the end. It was just a matter of time before someone else picked up where they left off, before someone else decided to play God with the building blocks of life. But for now, the creature stayed locked away. For now.